The second annual Africa Cinema Summit was held in Accra, Ghana at Movenpick Hotel, and this time around it was bigger than last year. Idris Elba was there, which helped to draw in a crowd, and special thanks to the National Film Authority for bringing us such an important event. Hello, my name is Ivy Prosper, and today I'm at the Africa Cinema Summit at Movenpick Hotel in Accra, where people in the film industry from across Africa have convened to discuss film in the continent of Africa. And the special guest today is none other than Idris Elba. We also have a lot of producers and actors and filmmakers from across the continent who are here in Ghana for this special event. All right, so Idris, you are here in Ghana for the Africa Cinema Summit.
Yes.
Which is very, very important because it's all about African storytelling. This is something you've been doing for some time because as we met before at Beast is No Nation premiere in Toronto, the Toronto International Film Festival. So today is a very important day.
Yeah.
I want to know, what is the relevance of you being here today, and why Ghana is the place for the Africa Cinema Summit? Because Africa has 54 countries. Why Ghana?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, my relevance is this. I'm a contributor to my industry. I'm African. I'm Ghanaian. Half, good half.
Yes.
But I'm also, very proactive in trying to stimulate our opportunities as filmmakers in Africa. I think the landscape of African cinema filmmaking is endless, like the continent. I think it's under, nourished. And, this conference is the second of its kind where a lot of the actors, all the components are in one space.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about distribution. We need to talk about content making. We need to talk about cinemas. We need to talk about interconnectivity. So that's, why I'm here. What was the second question?
Why Ghana?
Why Ghana?
Yeah.
I think Ghana is definitely, filmmaking in Ghana is old. It's been here since the early 50s, I believe. We've seen fantastic talent come from Ghana, from actors to filmmakers, photographers, even sports. We've seen fantastic, growth in tourism. So
yes,
Ghana has all of the ingredients to almost, leapfrog into the future. We just need the right sort of, cook with those ingredients.
And you're the perfect cook?
Oh, no, well, I can cook small.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Nice to see you.
We're sitting in the room with the sexiest man alive. That's the vibe. At what age did you decide to be the sexiest man alive? Just to be sure some people are not off the count.
No, man, don't embarrass me now. No. Come on, man. What can I say? I'm 52 now.
How long? Just appreciate him a bit more. 52 and fine.
I'll take it.
Okay, so just to get straight into the conversation, the continent is said to be the youngest. Europe is about 44 years in median age. We know North America is about 35. We know Asia is about 31 years. We know South America is about 31 years. Africa's median age is about 18, which means 1 out of every 2 African is less than 18 years. We're told that the continent will double its population by 2050. What does that mean for opportunity from where you said, in terms of the creative art industry, from what our future is likely to look like?
I mean, it's the most wanted opportunity in the world. If nations in the UK or in Europe or in Americas could have a median age of 18 years old, you understand that the longevity is doubled. But what you're seeing is Africa's longevity is tripled if the median age is 18 years old. So what does that mean? For a business like the film industry, which is perhaps 80 years old in our continent, 80 to 100 years old, it means that we have the most growth potential in this industry. It means that the investments that we put into this industry now, whether it's cinema or technology, in 10 years' time, the average viewer of our films will be 28 years old. Absolutely. And at that junction, they'll be making money for themselves and they'll be able to afford to watch those stories. So, you know, you did the maths, all right? It becomes such an incredible opportunity for the continent. But not only that, it's a massive driver for employment, it's a massive fiscal driver, and ultimately, culturally, young people, you know, when they look at social media, you know, I come from an era where, you know, we didn't have Afrobeats, we didn't have African superstars the way that we have now, okay? The ones that we had were like very sporadic, and oftentimes they were a little bit of a dilution of the original. So you had African records that were made in Europe, they didn't come from the motherland, they didn't come from its roots. But now you're seeing young artists like Nigerian artists like Stonebwoy. These young people in Africa are superstars, global superstars. So the generation that they appeal to, what do you think they're going to see in 10 years? What do you think they want to see in 10 years? They want to see that progression, they want to see their own, right? So that's why it's such a massive opportunity for us.
Right, but it remains a potential. How do we really translate that potential into a reality? Africa, we've always said, has had potential. From your travels, from your work, you do the best of films. Is our quality, is our capacity, is our training, would it cut for the potential? Or do we need to do more?
Okay, so, I mean, to answer the first part of that question, so this room is exactly what we should be doing, okay? When you say African Cinema Summit, okay, the room is packed, okay? That shows you what we should be doing. In fact, everybody give yourselves a round of applause. Because however you saw the advert for this summit, however that happened, that is progress. The fact that you took the next step to put your email down, take the newsletter, to be here today, that is progress, okay? This is the second annual summit, okay?
Absolutely.
So you understand, like, there's more people here than there was last year.
Yes.
And equally, there's gonna be more progress from the next year, okay? So I say that to say that this is a room of sharing and learning. That's what we need to do to progress, okay? Before we think about international markets, before we think about, you know, should I compare our industry to an international market, what about our own market first, okay? When we're successful amongst ourselves, that's when we view the successful out there. Point and blank. There's no way that we are not successful in our home ground. Thank you. And then successful in wherever we consider the international market. It's really important to the international market that we support our own. That's how it works. So for us to progress, we need to make sure that we are completely fulfilling our own success radar. Not the success radar of something that is unattainable for now. We have to make the best experience, the best movies, the best content, the best learning and sharing at home first. That's really important.
Thank you. Talking about the market and succeeding at home, we know the market, except for a few, are small and the incomes are lower. So we actually have to find a way of consolidating the market. You have a lion and a star on your hand, your Sierra Leone and Ghanaian heritage. But you cut across. You've indicated publicly your DNA spreads across. How do we really consolidate this market that is so dispersed and so lowering in income that unless we find a way in consolidating, probably that dream may not happen?
It's a great question. I mean, I think it's down to a few different parameters, okay? You know, marketing, I was speaking to Moses from Nile Group, the fantastic group. Marketing is essential, okay? Now, in America or in Europe, billboards the size of a house is a big, important marketing tool, okay? It's successful, they've proven it. When they put posters on the side of a bus, that is successful. But for us, in our culture, in our smaller nucleuses, we have to adopt marketing techniques that are much more suited and impactful to us. We can't keep trying to do the same. So marketing is a massive importance. I think that relatability in the stories is important, okay? So we want to see an action film, that's great. But if we want to see an action film that is compared to an American film, we don't have the budget, we don't have the same resources. So let's not try to make a bad version of that. Let's make something that actually let's make something that's more relatable to our scale of existence, you know? If it's an action film in a village, it doesn't need explosions exactly. It still need a chase. It might need a fight. It might need the gossip or whatever. But let's do it to our particular experience so we understand it. When we compare ourselves to international filmmaking, we're always going to fall short. We're always going to say, why is it not like that? Well, of course it's not. So I think that's one of the key components to us doing well. The other thing is we must support each other's efforts. This is a small community, okay? I don't know the population of Accra, and I don't know the percentage of filmmakers in that percentage, but I guarantee you that a lot of the representation of the industry is in this room. This is enough for a small wedding. You know, at the wedding now, you got to take your money out and put on the bride or put on the groom, right? We must take that mentality for our own films. We've got to support each other somehow. Now, even if it's a small amount, what we can afford, if that small amount is, let me market my film for my brother somehow, telling 10 people in my WhatsApp, let me go and watch the film and spend that money. We need to, really reinvest in our own community. Now, these are really small incremental things, but collectively they make our films a lot more, I think, successful for ourselves.
Thank you. Please, I appreciate that. And it's a key takeaway. If you're a filmmaker here, collaborate, partner, work, network, and share each other's work. That's the only way we grow together. Thank you for saying that. On not doing a bad version of other people's work, let me contextualize it and let me anchor it in Beast of No Nation. If you take that film, absolutely successful. I think we're having a conversation before here. In as much as it is successful, what is the narrative of the African? How does that movie portrays us, as you were pointing out? So the real question is, how do we tell those authentic stories in the way that we can relate to them, but in a way that we tell all the varying stories we have? The happiness, the joy, the inspiration, not only the story of the misery and the pain, and the brokenness we saw in that story. Beautiful and as relatable as it is. There's so many stories. Why haven't we mainstreamed it? Why haven't we seen that film being replicated in all its versions?
I mean, look, I think you said it, right? The problem about African narratives oftentimes is that it's not always interesting to the West or internationally unless it's trauma related, unless it's something that we, as a continent, as a culture, should be really proud of. I love Beast of No Nation, but I'm not proud of of that character. I'm not proud of that story, no way. It's a bittersweet pill that was the first movie Netflix made. The first movie. And it was a traumatic story, a traumatic West African story. Although the book was fiction, but it was based on Liberian Civil War, Sierra Leone Civil War, and an amalgamation. And as we all know, that was a very bitter time for us. In fact, the people involved are still carrying the scars of that time. Now, needless to say, the film did really well. People loved that film. When I was walking around, they loved my character. But the truth is, it's a traumatic character for our culture, our people. Why should we always make films like that to be successful? Because it perpetuates a narrative that is already implanted on Africans. That everything is traumatic. Everything has to be bad times. That's the only time that our films become successful or relatable as far as they're concerned. So it's important for me and for us, and to your question, that we have a spectrum. Okay? Listen, living in Africa is what it is. For those of you who live on the continent, you know what it is that you're living in, okay? We know what we're doing, but it's our home, it's our culture, okay? Not everything is as traumatic as it seems in the news. But if you watch the films, that's what you believe. So it's really important that we have a spectrum of our culture. Aspiration, futurism, inspiration, trauma, gossip, education. We need the entire gamut. We don't want to just make films that celebrate the dark side of humanity, okay? It's almost like Africa is the only place bad shit happens. That's not the case. That is not the case. So I think to answer your question, we need to show a spectrum. And that film was a very good film, technically. Yes. Technically, it's a beautiful film. We need to make films about aspiration, inspiration, in the same technical manner. We need to make them grow.
In terms of development in capacity, do we need a bit more work in order to produce the quality we must? And where do we find the money to do that?
I mean, look, these days, the democratization of technology allows you to make a film with your phone. You can, if you've got the imagination, if you've got YouTube, you can learn how to shoot, how to mix, how to edit. These days, you can literally shoot and distribute on your phone at a technical level that is better than the films that were made in the 90s. True story. The technology on an iPhone 16 is better than the cameras that made half of the big American films in the 90s, okay? It is about the imagination. It is about how you learn. In my opinion, the best way to learn is just make a film. Just make it. Because you're gonna make mistakes. But there is enough tutorials, literally online, for free, that can teach you how to get better. If I was at home and I was watching John Boyega or any one of the actors here, I'll be looking saying, I should have gone. That's why I'm here. Yes, because we've got to see each other doing it. All right? I'm hoping that my brothers and sisters across the pond, my brothers and sisters in Nigeria, in Tanzania, that the best actors, the best directors, they say, what? That's Cinema Summit. I'm going to go this year. South Africans, especially the Xhosa tribe, were very, very vocal about why is this guy playing Nelson Mandela. All right? But the truth is, this is filmmaking. This is storytelling. We should all allow to tell each other's stories. We should. I think it's important, especially the continent, okay? There has been so much division put onto our continent that we didn't put ourselves. We know there are different tribes, complexions, hair quality, but we all consider ourselves Africans. And when I see an African team playing in the World Cup, it doesn't matter who they're from, I'm cheering. So this is where the question of authenticity comes. If I'm going to play that coveted role and things fall apart, if I'm not authentic, I shouldn't be there. If I can't play that character authentically, I shouldn't do it. But if I can, then I want my Africans to support me for that film.